been a little while since I've had a video, but I am back on it. I have just 3 nights, 2 days until we are leaving for the St. George area, and I have a lot to get done. So tomorrow is going to be working mostly on getting the supercharger and everything lined up, and the next day on getting that prepped for the engine. I'd really like to be able to drive it before we go on this long trip. Right now, let me show you what I have going on. I'm working on getting some extra sound deadening in the Ranger. There's not a lot of it that came with it stock other than what's on the carpet, so I'm going to be working on that. So this was the matting I decided to go with. They do a good job of sound deadening. So this is the cut side you can prepare and cut on. And then this is a foam back. I've used the foil back before, where I've had to use the special roller, but this is just a foam back adhesive. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the inside of that door prepped, and then I'm gonna get some measurements and figure out how much of this I need to cut, and then I'm gonna get it placed inside. I've got the panel off. I've got the protective dust covering out, and this is pretty much my opening. I've gone ahead and cleaned off the inside pretty well, but I've got to fit that all the way up in there and all the way down in there. All right, well, I got the passenger door. I've got all the sound deadening in there, and then I put it back together. Wasn't much to show you there since that slot wasn't very big, but it's covered on the whole. It's covered on the whole inside of that panel now. I will show you what I did in the back because there's very little sound proofing or deadening in the back by stock. There's this hollow spot down here, and the jacket and the equipment sit down in here, and this is normally just all bare metal. What you're seeing, that black, is actually the sound deadening. You can see there just to the side that silver by the red, that's the actual bare metal. So I went ahead and threw that in there, so that should help. So that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and get the other side done tomorrow, and we'll get that knocked out in between doing some of the work with the supercharger, hopefully. Well, welcome to another day of working on Project Raptor. I got some unfortunate news today from my fabricator. He had some trouble sourcing some of the steel, and that put him behind. So I do not have the adapter and plenum that I was hoping to have today to deal with the supercharger. So that means that I have 2 things that I get to do. I need to get everything I can ready in case he gets it ready tomorrow, so I can simply set everything on there and bolt it up. So I'm going to go ahead and get parts fabricated, get working on the supercharger and the intake and the intercooler. The other thing that I need to do is make sure that I have a quick solution to throw the stock parts back on, besides the ones that I've modified, and be able to bolt that up very quickly, just in case he doesn't have that ready tomorrow. So that's... All right, well, now that I've got the supercharger oil changed, I'm gonna work on getting the pulley off this modular coupler right here. All right, well, as you can see, those are all tightened up. Here's a little bit closer view. This is how the old one was sitting. And as you can see, this sets the pulley back, which allows this whole supercharger to move forward, which gives me more room to the firewalls. Well, I've got the back of my supercharger here, and I just have a generic, this is actually a 3-inch air filter to mass airflow sensor adapter. And so that's what I'm just gonna be using. And as you can see, it's a 3-inch opening, same as the opening on here, or pretty close. So I should be able to get the airflow in here. So that's in place. All right, so check this out. Because this is a 90-degree turn, I thought I'd have to come up with some boxy solution, or that's what I've seen other people do, is weld something up that's really at a 90-degree angle and really poor for flow. Flow's already gonna be an issue, but I looked around and I was able to find this. It's called a cobra head. As you can see, it's got a cobra shape. And so this should go on here like that, and allow me to make this a little bit tighter angle. I'm not sure if I can trim any of this or make it, but that fits right on that 3-inch opening, and then it gives me a 3-inch here, which once I get it out here won't be much of an issue. I was able to get this to fit in. I had to to cut off a couple rings, just slowly cut it off, but it's got about as much as I could cut off before I started losing the bend here. I still want to be able to clamp. So that goes in nice. Cut a little bit of the firewall insulation out back here, and that gave me just enough room. And depending on how thick the plate is that this is going to mount to, that tucks right under there. So depending on that and the angle, it's pretty good. I'm thinking I've got a winner. Next up is the idle air control. I need this in order for my idle to work properly. This is where I could mount it up, but I can't quite get enough space. If you see on the back side there, it covers up both holes. All right, I've got two pieces that are rough cut out. I'm gonna go ahead and smooth off those edges and grind them down. Well, I got the few parts that I needed made up. I was able to cut those out, make a template for the idle air control and the throttle body. So I'm feeling pretty good about those. It's really just a matter of whether or not my fabricator is gonna be able to get done with that tomorrow. I'm gonna come home and make a list tomorrow of everything I need, get to the parts stores before they close, and be ready just in case they do have it ready. So we'll see you tomorrow. Well, it's the next day, and unfortunately I did get some bad news. My fabricator is not going to be able to finish my intake manifold in time, which means I won't have a supercharged truck to take down with me on our trip to Vegas. That's not too big of a deal. I'll be okay, I'm pretty sure. It would have just been nice to have a little extra pep on the interstate and a little extra power when I'm off-roading. I didn't bore you with putting the 4-liter back together and putting all the stock equipment back on. There's nothing new in that. One thing that I realized is my intake tube here for the air is actually a little bit tight because we lifted the body an inch, but we didn't lift the engine. So there's still plenty of room. It's not going to be an issue. It's not rubbing on anything. That was just one complication. I'm going to go ahead with all the extra time that I'm going to have and go ahead and try and soundproof some more of the cabin and see if I can get some of that noise down while we're on the road. At this point, I'm just getting the rest of the sound deadening foam put in the door, and then I move on to putting the interior panel back on. After that, I just threw the bed liner in and put the spare tire back in, and my truck was ready to roll. Feel free to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any updates to Project Raptor Ranger. Again, thanks for watching.